And we're back. You may have noticed that there are a few changes here. I did take the liberty of doing a few things while not recording, just to speed things along a little bit. I am going to make an effort not to skip past too much stuff, because I want you guys to see, especially if you're newcomers to the game, I want you guys to see exactly what I'm up to. But you can see already that I've gone through the night. The zombies are all gone, thank God. But there are some other changes, namely, I don't know, what my character is wearing, for instance. And he obviously looks a little different, and that's because during the night, while I had nothing really better to do, I decided to build some armor for this dude. And so let's go to the inventory screen, and then over on the bottom right, there's the equipment menu. And if you highlight that, you can see in the far top right, I've got a wooden helmet, a wooden breastplate, and wooden greaves. And they're awful. They provide almost no defense. But you know what? It's better than nothing. It's a total of, I think, 3 defense, was it? Let's take a look. Again, you should go back to your equipment menu if you need to see it. So, 1 defense, yeah, a total of 3 defense. So it's not very good. But at this point, I'll take whatever I can get. Also, if you're eagle-eyed, you may have noticed this little item here, the hammer. And I haven't talked about that yet. It's not overly important, but if you're new to the game, I just want to give it a quick mention. It's an item that can remove background walls, and it can also shape blocks like that. It can turn them into ramps and that sort of thing. So, if you need to... What am I doing? If you need to do that, you can use your hammer to either remove walls or to shape blocks. So, I guess this is as good a time as any to show it off. So let's go and get the hammer and see if I can remove these walls. Alright, and you see how it's done? It's not too challenging there. I accidentally placed those walls, so it seems only fitting that I'll use the hammer to get rid of them. Alright, let's see if there's anything else different. Obviously, I created a door on this side. I was kind of jammed in by zombies in the night, and I thought it would be kind of, I don't know, helpful not to die, so I created another exit to my base. But I think that's the summary. The only other thing is, you see these little trees here, these little saplings? Those are what you get when you plant acorns. And I planted a few acorns just so you'll see over time, those are going to regrow into trees. And I mentioned in the first video that if you chop down your forest, don't worry too much about that, because those things are going to grow back. But let's go out and explore. My character isn't going to get any better just by sitting around. Alright, first things first, looks like over here is an ice biome. This game features different biomes. There's desert, there's jungle, there's a frozen biome or ice biome like this. And that cave looks a little too small to explore, so I'm going to bypass it for now and just carry on along the surface. What I'm really interested in right now is seeing if I can find any surface chests. This wood, which I believe they call boreal wood, is just slightly different wood than regular wood. I don't really need it. So I'm going to carry on. I mentioned in the last video pots. You'll see hopefully some ceramic pots that my character can destroy and collect treasure from. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. And already you can see that the enemies might be a little more challenging out here in the ice. But that's alright, they're not something I can't deal with at this point. And what's this? Why, it's one of those ceramic pots. A frozen pot because of the biome, but let's see if there's anything in it. Nothing really. Let's get rid of this little guy. And I guess we'll just carry on and see what else we can get. Let's pop down here. I don't really have a way out, but I want this stuff. So let's turn on Smart Cursor. And what Smart Cursor does is pretty much what you see. It means you don't have to aim individually to harvest what you're after or to cut through blocks. It's mainly something I use when doing this, when mining. I suppose there may be some other uses for it, but I found it's mainly useful when mining in that it is more intelligent about digging out blocks and collecting ore and that sort of thing, or digging a passageway. So let's talk about that. If I don't have smart cursor on, it's aiming like this, right? It's kind of slow and a little cumbersome. If I turn smart cursor on there on the bottom right, let's see how that compares. And this is a slow pickaxe, of course, but you can see just how nice it is to have the smart cursor on when you're digging a tunnel if you need to get from point A to point B through some solid material. Go ahead and use that smart cursor. That thing's very, very useful. Alright, so that's that. I don't think my character has any rope. He may be a little jammed up right now, and he doesn't have the means to create any rope. So let's do a little bit more exploring down here. We're probably not gonna get very far, but let's see if we can do any exploration down here without getting killed. So, whoop. Let's get rid of this guy. Alright, he's gone. And let's make some more torches. Hey. Okay, those are ice torches from the ice slimes, but they do exactly the same thing, so don't worry about that. Alright, so I got some torches. And they do look kind of cool, don't they? They're a little different and maybe more biome appropriate, I'd say. So let's dig out here, and let's see if we can get down into this cave a little more. I'm kind of curious what's down here, if anything. But let's go ahead and carve out a bit more of a passage, so our little guy can climb down here. And I'll just hold this torch for now. Okay, it's not a great cave. I had maybe higher hopes than this, but let's go ahead and let's put that torch down there. And there's really nothing here. It's just a sad little cave, unfortunately. But, you know, sometimes it ends up like this, so it's not just happening to you, it's happening to me as well. Anyway, I mentioned I didn't have any rope or any means to get out. That's not entirely true. If you go to crafting, and if you have any wood in your inventory, sometimes you're able to create what are called wooden platforms. I'm not in a position to do that right now, but you can create wooden platforms that you can attach to walls and then hop up. But I can't do any of those things. So what do you do in this situation? Well, there's only really one thing to do. Either dig your way out, get killed, or do what I like to do, which is the save and exit shortcut. And it'll return you right to your spawn point. You've probably already discovered this, but that's just something this character needs to do right now. So let's go back in the world, and now that we've ventured out a little to the east, let's venture out a little to the west. And we're already on our way there based on where we spawned, so let's go out and just have a little look-see over here. And alright, I'm at such a weak early stage. I'm gonna actually do this. I'm gonna actually delay our little adventure just so I can get this ore, because I am so desperate for this ore right now. I am gonna go ahead and dig up any copper ore that I come across. Why am I doing that? Well, if you're not familiar with the game, the ore comes in different tiers. Copper is obviously the weakest, but it's still better than wood. And right now I'm working with some very rudimentary items, low-level items, and so things like this wooden sword, if I get enough copper, I can make a copper sword, which is going to be more powerful. And so I definitely want that. But another thing to keep in mind is that you're going to need some stone. In fact, not just some stone, you're going to need a lot of stone in the course of constructing your base and your equipment and that sort of thing. So I'm going to also take the moment here to dig out some of this stone. Stone is very abundant in this game, but I haven't harvested any yet. And so I really need to stop and do that, because things like furnaces and other items, you really need that stone. So again, it's gonna get in the way of our adventuring just a little bit, but our guy's wearing a wooden suit, and I don't think you need to know much about video games to know how weak and pathetic he is when he's wearing something like that. It doesn't even look particularly good, I don't think. So let's go ahead and get that and then carry on our way, and we can always do the little save and exit trick. Keep in mind, when you're going along the surface, you may see plants. Some of these plants aren't just like window dressing. This one here is a blueberry bush, And those blueberries are used in crafting, so I don't intend to use them right away. But I thought I would point that out. Alright, let's get the axe up. I need some wood here to show you what I intend to do next. Because you may have noticed there's a quite large lake in our way. And that's just darn inconvenient. So let's go to crafting. Let's create some of these wooden platforms here up the top right. You craft them 2 at a time. And, you know, these things are very useful. So I'm going to put them in my my guy's hands here, and let's see what we can... Okay, that was close. Let's see what we can do with them. Okay. And I'm going to have to be careful here because you run the risk of... falling into the water if you're not careful. And what's kind of a pain about these slimes is they can kind of float. I guess they're buoyant. And so if you see them across the way, it may seem, oh, well, they're no danger to me. But no, they skim along the surface as they did to my guy. And they can come and get you, so be careful. Alright, well, this is as good a time as any to talk about the breath meter. You see those bubbles? That's basically how long you guys have until you drown. That's a little morbid, but you always want to keep that in mind. And so if you're underwater, it's not like some games where you can stay under indefinitely. You really have to kind of get about it and focus on getting to the other side or getting out of the water. Well, I still have some wooden platforms left, and so it's not necessarily the prettiest build, but let's go ahead and make it so that I can just walk across without worrying in the future. Alright, and so now I've done it. You can see next time I go to this lake, I can always fall down if I want to, but now this will make exploration much easier, and that's important when something like this is just so close to your base. You're better off just going ahead and addressing it rather than, oh, I'll deal with it sometime in the future. Just go ahead and build something across. That way it's just, you're going to save so much time in the course of your playthrough if you just go ahead and do that. Alright, so let's carry on. That's a giant tree, I have to say. Maybe it's not the most interesting observation, but that's a big tree. I'm going to go ahead and take that because, hey, who doesn't need the extra wood? So let's go ahead and chop that down. Chop that sucker down. Alright, and over here is another one of those pots. Let's see if there's anything good in here. I really hope there is. Okay, that's actually not particularly interesting. But, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. This little cave here, I'm not overly thrilled with it. It looks like another small cave. And there's that smart cursor again. See how easy it is just to create a little room to maneuver using the smart cursor? It's very, very useful. Alright, well, while we're in this cave, let's go ahead and get some more stone, because in the nighttime, what I'm gonna want to do is do some crafting while I'm kind of hemmed in by the zombies, which are still, quite frankly, quite too tough for me to kill. It's just too dangerous at this point. My guy's not very good. I'm still learning the mobile controls. They're a little clunky for me right now. And so, we're going to make hay while the sun is shining and get some of these stone blocks for crafting. And while we're at it, looks like we're going to get some extra copper ore. That'll be useful. Hopefully we have enough to craft some useful items. Armor, as you may have seen from how much wood it took to make. Actually, no, you weren't here when I made it. I can tell you, armor takes a lot of units to make. And so, like, even this wood, I had to use quite a lot of wooden blocks to make the wooden armor, which is probably why I didn't have any at the beginning of this session. And so what I'm trying to get at is, when it comes to the copper ore, I would focus first on a weapon, and then maybe after that on better equipment. You already have a copper pickaxe, but maybe put the armor toward the end of your priorities, just because it soaks up so much material. The armor is going to take up a lot of copper blocks, and it's going to take up so many, it's going to really take a while to get enough ore to do everything you want. I always like to go ahead and get a good weapon first. That's kind of how I prioritize. And so that's probably what you're going to see this dirty mobile noob do once it's time to start smelting copper blocks and that sort of thing. Alright, so this is where ropes, you can probably see by now how useful ropes could be. and I simply don't have any. Alright, I think that's probably enough for now. I think you guys can hear the nighttime music, and that's really a signal that it's time to go home. These zombies are probably going to start spawning around here before long. Maybe I'll just dig a bit more stone, because as I said, I need a lot of stone for my crafting. I like to have a lot of it in, and really it's aesthetic at a certain level, because just to make the base seem a little stronger, I like sometimes to put some stone walls in, and that obviously takes a decent amount of the materials. So let's go ahead and chop this out of the earth here. Now, this portion of the Let's Play is going to be a little dull, and alright, let's get out of here. This portion of the Let's Play is going to be a little dull, just by necessity, because early on, you're really just, you're going around, you're very opportunistic, you're a scavenger, and you're getting things like ores, you're getting just anything you can kind of hoover up in the world just to make your character more powerful. And that's just the nature of the beast. It's kind of an unavoidable thing. I guess I could edit this part out, but just for the sake of demonstrating everything, I wanted to include this section of the game, and so I'm going to include it. As you saw from the beginning of this particular session, I'm going to try to edit out some of the really mundane parts, but for the most part, it's going to stay in. This is a kind of a new concept video. In a way, I know my channel's called New Release Let's Play, NRLP, but I haven't really been in the habit of doing Let's Plays, and I'm trying to tinker with the formula as I go. And so in this Dirty Noob series, it's going to be showing pretty much everything. That's just how I'm going to do it. I did mention last time I will try an expert mode PC run through of the game, and I think for that, given that it's expert mode, I'll probably do a little more editing and cut more chunks of it out. But this time around, I'm going to include most things. So anyway, I think that's a good stopping point. Nighttime has fallen, and so in the next session, I anticipate crafting some materials and maybe digging down. Yes, within my base, digging down, because that's something that's actually good to do in the night if you're kind of cooped up in your base. But that's a discussion for another video, probably the next video. So thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned to the series. As I said, I'm going to try to do one of these roughly every day, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thanks again everyone. See you next time.